Las Vegas, city that has long ago become its own cliché. Sin City, entertainment capital of the world, city of blinky lights and high thrills. A place with two faces, one of them mostly devoid of humanity. Everything on the strip seems to be constructed for people to marvel at, but they don't. People don't look up to the colossal hotel casinos that house them and are supposed to impress them as well. Nor do they look up to the insane replicas of landmarks from around the world that could give them an ironic sense of culture and history. They don't look up, but they don't seem to be looking at each other as well. Hunter Thompson wrote, in his seminal work that has become its own cliché, about his fear and loathing in this place. Every now and then the energy of a whole generation comes to a head in a long, fine flash for reasons that nobody really understands at the time and which never explain, in retrospect, what actually happened. He wrote that about the San Francisco of the 1960s. Creativity, hippies, counterculture. The same ingredients I had found in the Burn community that originates at Burning Man in the Black Rock Desert of Nevada. It was at Burning Man that I had met and instantly felt akin to Skeeter, Scott Cohen. He had grown his community art installation, the Life Cube, in size and following for some years in the desert. And from there he had taken it out into the world, first to Vegas some years ago. And now Scott was here again, in the other Las Vegas. A city in a valley with 2 million inhabitants. A city with schools, hospitals, businesses, and all the other ingredients of regular life. It was here that Scott had created and now recreated his ephemeral Oz, his Emerald City. A place inhabited not only by this wizard, but also with all the other creatures and characters that one would find on the yellow brick road. I had come to try and unravel what it was that created the magic and energy of this project. A project on a human scale, where people do look up, do look at each other, and interact with the installation and each other in shared humanity.
Over a decade ago, I went to a festival called Burning Man, and I saw art in a completely different way. Instead of art that you go and you look at, this was art that you could touch, you could write on, you could climb. It was huge. I left that experience, I left that journey saying, someday I'm going to come back as an artist. It took me a number of years later, but I came back to Black Rock City with my first art installation, which was Life Cube 1.0. And it was a disaster. It was so bad. It was an 8 by 8 foot wood box. It was put together with wood screws. It had some quotes on it. It had an artist statement, which I've never had after that. And it had some slots cut in it that you could put your goals, dreams, wishes, aspirations in. Something magical happened. A few people came up to me and said, do you have some of those wish sticks, those cards to write down their goals and dreams? I said, sure, I've got a whole basket. They said, well, can we have some? And they took big stacks. And next thing I know, they're out there passing out these wish sticks going, do you have a dream? Do you have a goal? There's a cube. There's a box over there this artist built. He thinks if you write it down, you know, the chance of it happening is going to increase. It got to the point where they were just telling him, if you write it down, it's going to happen. We ended up keeping it up, and the rest of the week was kind of fun because people actually were starting to write down their goals and dreams, wishes, aspirations, put them inside. And at the end of the week, we burned it. If I say there were 50 people, it might be accurate. If I said there was 100, it's probably an exaggeration. So what do you want to be when you grow up? You haven't figured it out yet? Still working on it? What's the next thing you want to do in your life? Have a good dinner with your family? Yeah? Well, you could write that down. That's okay. Some goals and dreams are just short term. Cookies.
I don't have.
You know the story about the cookies, right?
No.
So I'm talking to an elementary school. And
As Scott was relaying his anecdote, I wondered how the project's genesis, with Scott's emphasis on goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations, related to its origin at Burning Man. Who better to ask than Madeline, Scott's wife? Like Linda, Good Witch of the North, she is guarding over the entire project. In her own words, being the adult in the room.
It's not Burning Man. It's that he has figured out so many different things to do in his life that, for me, it's the same guy. And he's always traveled a lot. He's always figured out a way to take his enthusiasm and harness it on behalf of an idea or a concept. Often it's been somebody else's. I think this is his baby, but that's happened before too. And I don't think that came from Burning Man. I think Burning Man provided him with inspiration for creating a type of art that he might have known existed, but he wasn't really relating to in the same way or aware of in the capacity that, oh, maybe that's something I could do and maybe I could take it on the road. So this is one incarnation, but every time he's tackled anything, it's been, you know, Scott the Pied Piper. He just is wearing funny clothes now.
Madeline had made it clear that the project was definitely Scott's vision and energy coming to life. However, because of its origin, its ephemeral and participatory nature, and its emphasis on art, music performances, and New Age-flavored events like yoga and meditation, the comparison to Burning Man was easily made. Numerous people that I spoke to kept referring to Burning Man, either in a positive way, bring the burn to the default world, or in a more negative way, that the project should have stayed in the desert. I asked Scott's friend, ally in the project, and lined with courage, Flash Hopkins, one of the founders of Burning Man, to comment.
There's a vast difference between what Burning Man has become now as to what it was when we first started. When it first started, it was like this. It was people being so thankful that we were doing something so bizarre and that they could live out their craziest, wildest dreams because we were in a desert. And look around. This is a desert. It was, and basically it's a cultural desert. You're in Las Vegas and a lot of people don't even know there's a community, okay? They think that every night that your waitress and whatever, the cocktail waitresses, they all disappear into outer space or something. They don't realize that people live around here and it's a community and it needs this. This is what binds them together. I just met a little girl this morning and I said to the guy, I said, hey, you know, how old is she? He said, well, I'll tell you what, she was conceived after the first time you guys burnt the cube here. I'm like, that's beautiful. You won't catch that out at Burning Man, but you will catch it here. And that made me feel so good.
Scott had evolved the Life Cube from an 8 by 8 by 8 foot mailbox to a 24 by 24 by 24 foot collaborative and interactive artwork. It was still a mailbox, but now also included murals by professional artists, a tapestry wall, the opportunity for the public to paint and to partake in all the performances and interactive events. Obviously, the Cube had become a non-profit product, a business on the merit of its success. But what was Scott's reason to keep on recreating and further expanding this experience?
I could have stopped at each step of the way. I mean, think about this, all right? I wrote down, someday I want to come back to Burning Man as an artist, okay? And then I came and I created the first cube. And I could have said, okay, check that off the list, okay? The second cube we built was a good execution. It was a beautiful way of creating something that people interacted, and I could have said that was enough. This third cube, took it to a completely new level. And at that point, I could have just said, enough. I mean, I've done everything I set out to do. You know, at this point, I can be really proud of what we as a community created. But something happened. I wrote down in the coals that someday I wanted to take the Life Cube from the playa to a city around the world. And yeah, what started out as a mission of one thing, get people to write down their goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations, I complicated by adding a second mission. And that second mission was to involve as many people in the community as possible. So no longer were we looking for efficiency. We were looking to involve the community. But it's worth it, because this project has grown and grown and grown, and the people who have become so passionate and have worked on prior cubes, and we call them cubists. They want to work to make it better. They want to work because something that they wrote down or something that happened as a result of being a part of this project changed their life to the point where they want this to happen. They want it to grow.
Who are the inner core of cubists, and how do they reflect on their work? Dorothy of this Emerald City is Sanam Irfani, an actress/artist who has been curating the tapestry wall, a wall made out of thousands of small paintings created by school children, all expressing their goals and dreams.
I really love these, the way they're shaping up. Like, I want to be a comic book artist, and then her. I want to be an artist, I want to be a vet. I wish my dad comes back. I wish everyone could just stop hating me. This one's like probably one of my favorites. You don't have to, but I choose to let them speak to me. I choose to let the children's voices, let the children's souls, let their imaginations guide me, so that I step out of the way and let it be their voices and their souls and their spirits, because they speak so much truth. Look at this, live your dream. Look at this cloud with the one eye like that. I just love this guy.
Lead carpenter of the cube is Jerry Hightower, a scarecrow man only in appearance. This unusual suspect, strong-minded Texan, got involved in the cube a couple of years ago. In his own words, to work on a crazy art project in the desert for free. Nowadays, he is one of the cube's most outspoken evangelists.
Well, everybody needs to have encouragement to hope and dream. People get so run down by life, they get so occupied with the bills and the stuff they have to take care of. And I get to see people come out to this thing and volunteer time. I had somebody tell me the other day, I've worked on this project for 6 days for free. I've worked harder than I've ever worked at any job that I got paid for, and I've enjoyed every minute. What we give them is so much more than money.
What we try to give everybody
is more than money. Hopes and dreams get answered in different ways. I've seen people that meet at this thing that fall in love, become married. There's been kids born out of this box. In fact, last time it was in Vegas, I hear there was a child conceived in this box. It changes lives. It changes the world to open people up to experience that they've never had before.
And then there is Caitlin Seville, one of the Todos of this Oz. A local artist herself, she is also the curator of the murals that are created on the top floor by other professional artists.
I think it is important for people to step outside of the norm, step outside of their comfort zone, whether it be to pick up a paintbrush even if you never have or once did and don't think you remember how. I think it's really important for people to get back to that creative side and instigate their creativity and get their right brain working. I think it strikes up this need of positivity, positive thinking, and people seeing all of this stuff on the cubes that says like love and gratitude and forgiveness and happiness. And I think just seeing those things and being here and people experiencing the actual feeling of those words as well, I think right there instigates change, because it all just starts with us and what we want, and if we all make ourselves better, then that automatically makes the world a better place, and that is change.
Caitlin's comment about enabling people to reconnect to their creative side got me thinking about the possible underlying meaning of the cube, something that Sanam had also mentioned to me.
I still feel like a child, and I believe that adults, we are put into positions where we feel like we have to be grown-ups, and we're not grown-ups, we're still children. So to me, this is speaking to the soul of the children and also to the soul of the child in every single one of us. And this whole wall is like 15,000 voices who are just shouting back to us, let go of this nonsense, come back home. And home is really where the heart is. This is my office. Welcome to my office. I'm in my office. This is what I get to do? Like, what? With amazing people who are all aspiring to do something for the world, and not just aspiring, but actually doing it.
Reconnecting to the child within. It's one of the oldest cliches of art and artists. Picasso said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child." And that is what the Life Cube delivered, without even explicitly promising it. By dreaming about your goals, by painting yourself, by participating in all the events and performances, that you could become a child again. There were some other inner core cubists, munchkins that welcomed people to this land of Oz. I quickly developed a weak spot for Bob Hansi, safety lead, and therefore another total guard dog of the cube. A retired casino worker and longtime burner, Bob was to me a quintessential example of this becoming child. Even given his serious responsibility at the cube, he also one night rocked up with his giant fish art car to take it out for a spin in downtown Las Vegas. Whilst driving with Bob, observing regular people's response, I couldn't help but wonder if the experience that the Life Cube was facilitating was not in the end falling mostly on deaf ears.
You take the average person out here, okay? They have a job, okay? They go to that job every day. They come home, they feed the cat, they feed the dog, and it becomes a routine. People who once believed that they could do anything or become lulled into this everyday humdrum of a life. It offers them security, yet they all long to be artists. Everybody at one time thought they could be an artist, and people forget that. They lose that child quality. They lose the dreams. And so this is really a good place to find them again. For 1 minute, let yourself go. Remember as you were a kid and you got that first box of crayons or that first coloring box with the water paints and you just went like this. Do it again. It releases you. And for 1 minute, you're that child again. And for us to be able to give that to people is the most beautiful thing.
Even though Flash confirmed my minor epiphany of becoming child, I still didn't feel like I truly connected to the cube's premise. Presuming that as a participant, I had become a child again, what was the stressed importance of writing down my goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations?
Smile, wish you forgive me in a while, but girl, that really ain't your style. Told you I was trying to fly. You told me I was.
The power of goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations, and the power of writing them down is that it helps you visualize where you want to go. A goal, dream, wish, aspiration to me is something that not only you want, but you're willing to work for. And yes, there are always going to be things that other people and other external circumstances are going to make difficult or potentially make impossible for you to accomplish what you wanted.
Then I got drunk and ripped this page out of my journal. It's unimportant.
I wonder how she puts up with this nonsense, and then I wondering how I do it, cause I know I got a conscience.
You start with this kernel of an idea, and suddenly it becomes a plan. And to me, that's the difference in the way in which you can accomplish things. So I live my life by this. I mean, I've got 9 pages of things that I want to do in my life. I have added to that list, taken off of that list, but it continues to grow. If I live to 130 years old, I probably won't get through half of my list.
Buzzing on the dresser, me trying to rest up, laying next to poke your head up.
Never answer when you call, cause I don't got the balls to say I'm with another woman. I couldn't imagine being you waiting on me to quit the foolish game.
It's not a complicated process. It's not something that you have to be super smart to be able to do. You just have to be willing to make that commitment. And commitment is a big word. It puts down on paper what really you want to do. It's your words. It's not someone else's. It's not someone telling you what to do. It's you making a decision that I am here today, I want to be there tomorrow, or I want to be there in the future. And how am I going to do it? And it starts the process of thought and planning and then execution.
Just know that you're special, took a while to accept it. You don't listen when I tell you.
Scott's original motivation and continuous emphasis on manifesting goals and dreams was only partially supported by what I had heard from the inner core cubists. What about the others? The people that had come from everywhere and nowhere and had organically taken up roles that didn't even exist yet. How did they connect to the cube? I sat down with Elliot Maldonado, a local banjo player. He had had some rough times on the streets and now had become the cube's resident troubadour.
It's a representation of and a manifestation of all of Las Vegas, so to speak. So many people have contributed to this. This is pretty much, I would say, Vegas, at its heart. And there's so much beauty, there's so much art, and there's so much talent, there's so much ambition. I'm here to complement that, and I'm here to pretty much bring the best out of others, So I do that by means of music to pretty much mend and heal our souls, because all of us are hurting and we're damaged in a way. And I guess my message towards my music and my purpose of playing really is to heal people and to make them happy and to let them know that it's going to be okay.
Oh my God, we're live. We're finally live. It's finally now. Oh my God, Easter. Who knew we were going to synchronize so well, except for that's our timing.
Vivica Davis had come out of nowhere in a U-Haul, together with her brother Brian. They were both equipped with a bunch of wit, esoteric ideas, and a big heart. Quickly they had created roles for themselves as cube caretakers, especially of the homeless and weirdos that flocked to the cube.
This is a palace of memories, it's a palace of stories, it's a palace of perceptions and reactions. But I think that each person who has made one of these paintings is an actual valid doorway to truth. Just being here will shift your consciousness because you're here. You actually come and participate in this now moment. We're going to leave all burdens of the past behind and embrace the opportunity of this now moment to practice the art of the possible. That's what we're going to do. Practicing the art of the possible.
What do I think it is? Well, I think it's about 4 or 5 things at the same time. This short-lived experience, this is ephemeral. So these children participate, and the artists and the dancers and the weirdos, all of us together, pack it full of all of our hopes and fears, and then we light a match, and all of a sudden it goes up in flames. And so what happens? The prayers go up. They go up to the crow, and then they go up to the hawk, and into the eagle, and to Wakantanka, in the Great Spirit. It's real, this is a real experience. It's not an elitist art situation. You got people who are down on their luck. You got people at all levels, from the street to the elite. Right?
That building right there?
Yeah.
A couple days ago, this cat was shot, man,
right there?
Just right goddamn there, man.
The Life Cube was positioned right across the street from a church that doubles as a homeless shelter. Was this by chance or by design?
Las Vegas brought an opportunity to come into a city that there's some strife, there's some conflict. It's conflict between rich and poor, there's conflict between gentrification, there's conflicts between the burner community and the regular community. There's a variety of different tribes within Las Vegas, and I think that going forward, what I'm looking for is that similar type of situation. I'm not looking to go in and be Scott the artist. I'm going to be Scotty, one of the guys that comes and helps change the world, and whether it starts with artists or it starts with the city, it's all a journey, but the goal is going into a place that not only has an artistic community, but also has that conflict, that has strife, that you can bring, it's magic. You can bring people together in a space, in a common space, and they can interact.
How did this contrast, this conflict, pan out in practice? Local homeless Tamian Miller had become an inhabitant of Emerald City.
My story is, right now, I'm actually down and out on the last leg. Went from, having everything go like good to basically bad. So now I'm basically out here homeless, doing whatever I can do to, keep my head above water and keep striving, keep it going. Helping any kind of way I can and just be a strong person. That's all it is. If you're weak-minded out here, these streets will eat you up. You have to be strong and you have to have faith and you gotta believe in the one, Lord. Anything is possible if you believe in the man. Came out here, to show people that, as long as you have faith and you be strong, he will give you the way to, the other way. And I'm trying to set an example for all the other people out here, that's out here doing negative things, drugs, abuse, fighting women, or just, abusing themselves, I mean? The Cube is it's like a baby step, but we get to know each other, we get to talk to each other, we get to know, what's troubling us in our life, and then we just come together as one and we unite and we just talk about each other's problems and help each other out.
If life is a myriad of things, Vivekananda said, "Thy God is here before thee now, revealed in all these myriad forms. Rejecting them, where seekest thou his," I like to say her, presence? And if you can retain or bring back the beginner's mind or the awe of a child, you can regain your innocence, because innocence is where inspiration lives, joy lives, true spirit lives in innocence. You have to reclaim your own innocence. It's not something that anybody can even do for you. That's the hardest part.
Connecting, getting to know one another, helping each other out, but also becoming child, becoming innocent again. Those seem to be the main reasons for some of these cubists to hang out at the installation almost 24/7. This Oz seemed to be a place where everyone, with or without the turmoil of life's tornadoes, could go to experience its wonder and its magic. And they of course also had the anticipation of the event to come, the grand finale, releasing the energy, the goals and dreams by setting the piece on fire. It made a whole lot of sense when looking at the origin of the installation at Burning Man. But why burn the cube here? One dissonant voice had even objected by telling me that the burn was actually detrimental. In his words, it prohibited the cube from having a long-term positive effect and created a short-term negative smog effect in the process. So what was Scott's reasoning for burning it?
Burning art. Yeah, it's the most common asked question I get. is why are we burning it, okay? There are 3 reasons. The first reason is that I live in New York. And in this particular case, I'm 2,567 miles away from my home. And I miss my home. I like being where I am. So by burning it, there is a finality. Reason number 2 is that, specific to this project, seeing all those goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations go up into the universe is magical. You see the sparks, the embers of going up, and it's a very powerful, it's a very spiritual thing to me. To the people who have participated, who have interacted, who have written down their goals and dreams, to them, seeing this is a very, very emotional time. And reason number 3, it's really fun. It's an incredible opportunity to see a huge fire and be a part of something that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's so much fun.
In all of this, ironically, the most anonymous cubists were the professional and enthusiast artists, natural allies of Scott the Wizard, as they were already living their goals and dreams. They were permanent residents of their own Emerald City, the arts district a few blocks away from the cube. Part of the intent of the piece was to see them paint and interact with them, but they mostly showed up to work at the cube at times when the general public was not there. Alex P. Huerta is one of these artists. What is his story and his connection to the cube?
The TV taught me, like all little boys, the TV tells you your role, what you're supposed to do to look successful for all these other humans. And I tried that. Worked at Harrah's, the gaming company, for 13 years. I didn't do art until I was 30. And that casino life was okay. But the Las Vegas life caught me at one point. What I mean is the lifestyle of living in Vegas with no wife, no responsibilities to any other humans, allows your thoughts to grow wildly, which allows your life to become chaotic. And then, at rock bottom, in darkness, in isolation, the epiphany of my life came to me. It said, you're an artist, it's not that bad. And here we are, 15 years later, living the most blessed days of my life, the most fulfilled days of my life. And with that pattern of life for 15 years, it's led me to great projects as an artist, such as the Life Cube.
I talked to Alex at length, but was more interested in his personal story than in his generic statements about the role of the cube. For discussing that, I turned to some of the young artists of the Appia Collective, Roman Alexei, Sarah Zimmerman, and Manny Rubio. What did they see as the function of the cube for the Las Vegas art scene?
This is a new renaissance. People need to come to an understanding that if you're not going to fight for your art, for your community art, it may not be here one day. We may not have these outlets where you can come and put art on.
A lot of people, they're very unaware of, the actual presence of the art community, the art district, what we do, what we're about. These events, they allow us to reach out to the rest of the Las Vegas community and the outside communities that are beyond us.
This is bringing some sort of unification. I mean, there's children here now coming to check out the art. This is amazing. Kids who may not potentially be exposed to art are being brought down here, and it's expanding the community's awareness. Art is here. Art is everywhere. We are art.
The presence of the children got Scott delighted, seeing his vision of community connecting through art in practice. As I talked to more artists, they affirmed that the project accomplished to create this connection, but at the same time, that their work was not always treated with the respect they thought it deserved. I asked another artist, Vision, about his thoughts.
Well, the city is sort of based around gambling, so people on a day-to-day basis, they're going to gamble. you need to do other things like read a book, cook a meal, or appreciate a painting. Well, gallery is a business, so whenever you do things with galleries, you always have the way something will be hung, how much you will charge, etc. As far as the Life Cube goes, in comparison, I wish there was a little more melting of the images from the one piece to the other piece. It's difficult to organize something like this, so everyone just comes and does their own thing. But I think it would be nice if there was a little more fusion between the pieces.
Seeing these artists putting all their energy and love in creating their pieces got me thinking, what did they think about the fact that their work was going to be burned?
It's kind of like letting go of things or putting your time into stuff just to do it, you know, just the aspect of just doing it and bringing everybody together. And then setting that big ass thing on fire, that's pretty awesome, you know? I mean, like, I like watching things burn. I'm kind of like a pyromaniac. But like when you put so much work and effort into something and it's only temporary, the only thing people are going to have from this are like pictures and stuff, you know? So it's like the memories, I think, that are important from when people come out here and create all the stuff that they're creating.
People being able to come in and add and contribute to our work just emphasizes the importance and the strength of community.
Gives the arts community as a whole a voice and creates such a huge structure with so many different artists collaborating, so many different pieces of work to look at. It's a huge like cry out to community love. Yeah.
And then there was Lance Wilson, an enthusiast artist. He came by the Cube every day, early morning before work, to paint and repaint solely on the smaller satellite cubes.
Painting is, for me, my best form of meditation. I can get lost in a painting for 2 hours and not think about anything else and be mentally exhausted in a very wonderful way at the end of it. And I think I'd be lying if I said it wasn't make my head grow even larger to having people comment on my art and that they like it. I would like to say no. I would like to say it's purely just for fun and entertainment. It gets painted over and it's going to be burned, so what? No. But as my wife said in the background, no. A book that's up in my head still is Why and When Did We Stop Skipping? Because, you know, as 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, it's fine to skip through a hallway or an office or a parking lot. And if I went skipping through, you know, my office today, people would think something's wrong with me. So my painting is sort of my form of skipping.
There we had it again. Wilson referred to skipping, to being playful, becoming a child. If that is what the Cube does, becoming a child, then what does a child want? I could have gone back up the scissor lift and looked at the thousands of small paintings. But one night Madeline brought a pile of essays that a local teacher had handed her.
My dream is to become an artist or an author and write and draw amazingly. My goal is to learn more than 2 languages. The languages I want to learn are Russian, Spanish, French, and Mandarin Chinese. My wish is for my family to have less stress in their lives, and my aspiration is when I graduate high school, I get a scholarship. My dream is to open a cafe or bakery in Knoxville, Tennessee. I will achieve this by working very hard so I can go to college and open my own bakery. My goal is to teach a cat how to talk or read. I will achieve this by getting a teaching degree. My dream is to be a pilot so I can travel the world. My wish is to go to London. My goal is to earn some money, and my aspiration is I didn't have time to finish this essay.
Scott and Madeline had on countless occasions stressed the importance of the school program. Scott had gone to talk to dozens of schools in the district, and the Life Cube had handed out satellite cubes to these schools so that children could paint on them and put their wish sticks in, even if they wouldn't come to the big cube. Just days before the burn, Scott was invited to a school again. I wondered what he, as a self-proclaimed professional dreamer, dreamt of himself. What did his inner child want?
Well, professional dreamer, you know, in some ways it's a joke, and in some ways it's serious. I mean, I dream really big. I dream stuff that should be ridiculous. It should be no way, no how it's going to happen. And then it does.
We were really lucky. We had all these cubes being built, and I did not speak to every school, but I spoke to thousands of school kids. And you're actually my last school. You're the last one, okay? I've spoken to over 15,000 kids so far.
I don't like the ordinary. I don't like thinking inside the box. I don't like boundaries. I really do believe that there's a power within us that can make it possible to accomplish spectacular things. I encourage others to go forth and pursue your dreams. I think everyone has them.
So this is now your cube. And look what's going to happen. We're going to let you decorate it and paint on it and draw on it. You can put anything you want. And then when you're done, we're going to bring it back and we're going to put it around the other cube so that you can come and see it.
I have to look way out. I have to. It's the way I live. And I really do enjoy it. I live in this ecstatic moment of envisioning a world different.
And so the final day of this cube had come, and I was still trying to unravel more layers of meaning of the project. As I was watching cubists preparing the structure for the burn and setting up the safety perimeter, I thought about Scott's words of envisioning a world different.
I'm in jail. Yeah, I guess they are.
Especially on this last day, I saw reflections of Burning Man, but more cultivated, civil, and family-friendly. So when Scott in his enthusiasm called it a mini Woodstock, I found that a big statement. However, I did notice that there was definitely an energy of excitement and anticipation. But I was already looking forward, beyond the burn. What did Scott want to do next? And with what goal?
I come into this with an intention to change the world. I see cubes going around the world, and in countries that there's different challenges. I mean, how do you do a school outreach in a country where English is not a spoken language or it's not the first language? How does it translate with a translator? If you do it in a communist country, can you imagine cameras being focused on the artists, and that an artist that paints something or writes something on the cube that isn't appropriate in their society, in their culture, and being punished for that? These are big responsibilities, but somehow I'm going to answer those questions. I'm going to figure those things out, and I don't think this journey is meant to end.
You're seeing a man living his dream. His belief is that he can change the world one little wooden cube at a time. Sounds fantastical, like, how can this be done? But it's true. It's through art. If you just change one person's life and make them see their inner self, then with one cube, one person, then he's already done it. And what more powerful of an idea that you can do that? There's not many people that actually honestly believe they can change the world. And you know what? It's infectious, because I believe in him. So I do believe that he can change the world one cube at a time.
I'm not interested in changing the world. So if that's what he wants to do, that's terrific. But I just try to figure out how to get things done I'd like people to experience what we create, what he creates, in a positive environment that's healthy, that's encouraging of participation, that's interactive, that's exploratory, that's illuminating, that is exciting, that's new, that's novel, and that's has a binding impact, a lasting impact on those who participate. They not only remember it, but they collaborate enough so that they create bonds both in this community and with each other outside of this community. So that changes a little piece of the world.
Maybe Scott was changing the world, maybe not. The Cube had definitely had an impact on the Las Vegas community, and on me as well. I realized that there was one character from Oz that I had not encountered, the Tin Man. Everybody that I had spoken to, even the dissenting ones, were passionately in praise of the Cube and of the effect that it had. So I figured that there was only one character that needed a heart, and that person was me. I had put my own wish stick in the Cube, and the common thread through all my goals, dreams, wishes, and aspirations was passion. For me, this experience had been about reconnecting with the passion of my inner child, and with the steps that were necessary to make my wildest dreams come true. I wanted to get back to my own life, to start making them happen. However, there was still a structure to burn.
I never worked so hard to create something that had a finality like the Life Cube project has. I love what I do. I love what we've created as a community. The end, I don't know if it's letting go. It's just pure exhaustion. It's no longer logical or analytical. You're dealing with feelings, you're dealing with emotions. It's an area where I don't often tread. It never gets old. I mean, you just keep chasing that high, that extraordinary energy. And I am so lucky, I am so blessed to have so many people in my life, in this community, that just come and want to help make this warped reality that I have, that I've thought of, that I say, this is what I've got in mind, guys. And they all say, okay, let's do it. It's not just my experience, it's the people who became involved. It's not a, I built this, come and look at it. It's we built this, and let's all of us experience it together. And everybody has a different part of that experience. For me, it has been like this trip to outer space, and I've now come back to Earth as a regular person again. and in between there, that journey was almost not believable. It really is unbelievable at times.
I had asked Scott beforehand about the ritual that he was going to perform after the burn. He was alone by choice, politely declining help offered, to work on the fire until only embers would be left. Scott had created a temporary Oz, and now it was time for the wizard to pick up the pieces and draw the curtain on his magic. The cubists had scattered, some of them partying through the night to return sporadically and check in with Scott. Sanam, Dorothy, was still around, Was she looking for a way to stay a little longer in Oz? I was warned that it was going to be a long night, but there was a promise that by dawn, Madeline and Natasha, Scott's daughter, would come to literally drag him from the remnants of his creation. I wanted to wait for that moment as a worthy ending. But then I saw something else, maybe a worthier ending. A group of people that stayed by the fire at a respectful distance. Scott's Oz was not done for them, as one of them yelled out, "Do you think it's over? It's not over. We haven't even started yet." Scott had facilitated a happening, and now these people were taking that experience and made it their own. I had some words of Hunter Thompson on my mind. Maybe it meant something, maybe not in the long run, but no explanation, no mix of words or music or memories can touch that sense of knowing that you were there and alive in that corner of time and the world, whatever it meant. And with that, I left the wonderful wizard and these new inhabitants of Emerald City.